This is Listen After Watching,
a podcast where we recap and discuss the most mind-bending, twisty, and thought-provoking TV shows and movies out there. I'm Adrian.
and I'm Alicia. Let's dive in. Hello. It is your favorite sibling podcast, as I love to say. I'm Alicia. I'm here with my sibling.
Hi.
And your name is?
Adrian.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
My
Well,
coffee
welcome.
kicked in today.
We record these in the morning, and when we first get on the call, we're kind of zombified. But here we are. It's been quite a week.
Killing it.
In the world is crashing and burning quite literally. And we also got a really awesome episode of Severance. So, hey, we're excited to talk about it.
We have so much to fit into this one episode. I know last week's episode was kind of long. We're going to try to cut it down so that you're not listening to this all day for a 1-hour episode of a show. But there's so much to fit in for this episode. Anyway, how you doing, Leash?
I am pretty good. I feel like I haven't gotten enough sleep lately. I don't know what's going on. I'm just I can't fall asleep until maybe midnight or 1. And that's really been messing with me because I like to be up and at 'em in the morning. And also, I don't think I told you this, but a couple nights ago, I think we were watching Traders, and I had this really weird visual thing happen. I saw lightning bolts in my vision. It was so strange. I didn't tell Matt for a couple minutes because I didn't want to freak him out. And I was like, maybe it'll just go away. But it was hard to watch the show because it was obstructing my vision a little bit. Anyway, I Googled it, as we all should do when we have a medical event. And I think it was an ocular migraine. But anyway, yeah. I need to go to the doctor.
I get those too. It's usually not lightning bolts for me, but it's funny that we're talking about this episode. It's if I were staring at a light for a long time, and then I look away, it's those spots blotchy in my vision where I can't see. It's hard to look at a screen or anything like that.
Oh, I'm glad I'm not alone. It's probably in our DNA.
Yeah, but usually when I get them, I get an actual migraine very soon after.
I did. So
okay,
a few minutes after it started and I Googled it, I was like, oh, I should go take some medicine. And it did start hurting really soon after. So
I think it runs in the family.
I think you're right. But anyway, besides that, great. We also celebrated our mom's birthday yesterday. Shout out. Happy birthday, Sai.
That was fun.
That was really sweet.
Yeah. Our mom lived in Thailand for the past decade. So there's a lot of birthdays that we didn't get to spend with her, but this was really nice. She just moved back to the city we're in this past year. So it was really fun to have everyone together. We got pedicures, we got breakfast, we went shopping, spoiled her a little bit. That was good.
Yeah, when we got to the mall, I think this was before you had walked up to meet us, but I was like, you can buy, whatever you want. We'll get it for you. And she was like, really? You serious? She was so excited. She could not believe. I wish you had seen that.
Aww. She said she was the queen yesterday. And she was.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's get into the reason we're all here. And that is Severance Season 2, Episode 3, Who is Alive? This is your perpetual spoiler alert. If you have not watched this episode of Severance, stop right now. Go to Apple TV Plus. Watch the show. It's such a good episode. Come back to us because we are about to get into it.
Well, let's do our one word for the episode. What's your word?
Oh, my word is, drumroll please, Mammalians.
Oh, I almost picked that one.
Wait, is it I keep saying mammalians like it's mega mammalians.
My millions.
Is it mammalians?
I think it's mammalians.
Oh, shit. My word's
right.
mammalians. My word's McMillions. Okay. I think that's that documentary about the McDonald's monopoly scandal.
Yeah, so your word is McMillions, which...
Okay. And we'll all see why it is. And Alicia, what's your word?
My word, we're on a Gwendolyn Christie kick, but my word is fripperies.
Oh, good one.
Which I also had to Google. I got to Google a lot of words. I saw somebody post like a chart of the word fripperies being Googled after the episode aired, and it like spiked up like crazy. Like no one's Googling it, but suddenly
that's
hilarious.
Oh, that and fetid moppet, I bet were really trending.
Definitely. They're doing
so
something
good.
here.
Well, we have so much to get into. Let's jump into our recap. So we start off, Mark is going into work, guns a-blazing. We can tell he's on a mission. There's like rock music playing, which is very different for him going into work. We see he's got a digital stopwatch and he's timing his entrance into work for some reason. So he is up to something. Once he gets inside, Mark is printing these missing persons posters of Miss Casey to hand out on the severed floor. And then he and Helly are planning to go to find the goat man and other possible goat people. He also sends Irving to O&D, and then he asks Dylan to go to the new break room to look for other people. Dylan, though, says he really wants to stay and that he's in a groove with work. What do we think? What do you think Mark was up to here?
Well, I think it's pretty clear that he needs some help finding Miss Casey because he doesn't really know where to start. He doesn't know about the elevator that she went down there. And Irving hasn't shared that with the rest of them outside of Dylan yet. So
that's true.
There are some things that need to be pieced together there, but and we don't know why he's counting his time getting into work, but it's clear, like you said, he's up to something. He's got some plan in mind. And this is like coming right off of his conversation with Miss Cobell, where he was given a lot of suspicion around what she knows about Gemma. So he's trying to get to the bottom of things.
Yeah, I liked seeing him on a mission here and like that renewed sense of like, we got to figure this out.
It's quite a different mood and vibe for Audi Mark to have. So I think it was really cool. I mean, he's normally been just highly depressed for obvious reasons.
But what do we think about Dylan not wanting to help?
Well, Dylan is trying to do his best work so he can see his family. I mean,
they really got him with this Audi visitation suite.
He's like totally of one mind only since he saw his son when he was talking with Milchick in his Audi's home in the closet.
Yeah.
And I think he's just like, he's trying to find purpose for himself. And I think he's found some way to be connected to some higher purpose. And it just is not aligning with what the rest of the crew wants right now. So he's on his own little journey.
Yeah, it's scary because we can see that the way Milchick started sowing that dissent with him with this new secret reward is working. And I'm scared about how this is going to play out with him possibly betraying the team, or I don't know.
Me too. Yeah.
Okay, so after Mark and Helly leave, Irving discloses to Dylan that he's been recreating the elevator hallway paintings, and he asks Dylan to go and help him find it. But Dylan says Irving should go himself for stealth. And then Miss Huang walks in and interrupts them and asks Dylan to come with her.
Yep. So I mean, I'm curious why Irving is like really only trusting Dylan with this information right now. It doesn't really make sense. Like we talked about this last time, how Irving and Dylan haven't had like a super close relationship from what it seems like in season 1. And maybe it's just the fact that Dylan like followed Irving out of the break room in episode 1 and showed like some care for him, that he's choosing to confide in Dylan. But it's just it's a strange choice, but I know it's all for the plot. Like it's all leading to some
Yeah.
something between Dylan and Irving, and probably some betrayal.
Yeah, it seems kind of hard for Irving to share some of this stuff in general. And Dylan, like you said, followed him into that hallway, and they had their kind of heart to heart. And he told him about the paintings that
Mm-hmm.
his Audi was doing. So he already kind of knew. So I think he feels like this is the only person he can tell without having to go into all the detail.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, it's interesting. Dylan's still like, nah, I gotta work.
Yeah, he's brushing them all off. Helly also has a moment with Irving where she's like checking up on him as he prepares to go to O&D, and she's like, "We've got you." Um, we don't really see a lot of like in this episode Helly being outspoken very much, and or having much of a say in things. So I thought it was interesting the couple of moments she does have. It's like, would Helly be this sweet towards Irving normally? Or is she Helena putting on some front?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a few little moments where you're like, what's going on here? This was one. And I think even Irving, after she says it, he's like, thank you.
Yeah. It seemed unexpected.
Yeah. I wonder if he's picking up on some things.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Hmm.
What happens next, Leash?
Well, as they all go their separate ways, we see Milchick walk into his office to find Natalie waiting for him with the board on the speaker. Through Natalie, the board says they want Milchick to feel connected to Lumen's history, and they give him inclusively recanonicalized paintings of Kier. Natalie tells him she also received these upon receipt of her current position. Phew, what a
Oh, Lord.
strange part.
This was so uncomfortable.
Highly.
Oh, this was like, and I saw other people comparing it. This was very Get Out, like this whole scene with Natalie and her like fake smile giving him these paintings of Black Kier. It was all just so uncomfortable. And even Milchick, you can tell when he's receiving them, is like, what the fuck is this shit?
Yeah, he's like trying his best to, I think, express gratitude because the board is listening to him. But then once they get off the call, Natalie has this really, by the way, the acting from whoever plays Natalie, I don't know her name, but she
It's so
just, her
good.
expressions say so much and speak so much without any words between them. But she like gives him this smile, and it's like, it's kind of like, it is very much Get Out, like that moment where she's like, no, 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 and she has tears streaming down her face and
Yeah.
Get Out, and she's smiling.
Uh-huh.
It's like that.
Yeah, it's very much like they're watching us. We can't talk about this, but yeah, this is
Mm-hmm.
some weird shit right here. Oh
Mm-hmm.
my god. So the paintings are like the same, some of the same paintings we've seen, but
Yeah.
basically just with a black Kier.
Mm-hmm.
Um yeah, and Milchick's just looking through them like, what do I say? He can barely even get out a thank you. Like he can't even force himself to say thank you or like
Yeah.
pretend like this is a great gift.
Right. And he ends up, you really like see, if that doesn't tell you enough how he really feels, you see him at one point put the paintings up on a high shelf in like some storage closet. Like he does not want these.
Yeah, which I think a lot of people have been talking about, Milchick's maybe on a different side than we thought.
Mm, I hope so. I feel like it's heading that way. And I don't know what the relationship between Natalie and Milchick is, but I wonder if they will have some more kind of moments of solidarity between them. Because
Yeah.
you have to imagine uh, a person of color would probably not choose to give you paintings like that. And so they're like, what are these people thinking? Like, how could they think that this was a good decision to make?
Yeah, so we'll see what happens with Milchick, but I have a feeling we're going to see some more questioning on his side.
Mm-hmm.
Next, Mark and Helly find the mysterious baby goat room they stumbled upon at one time, and they discover a small tunnel leading to a goat pasture. The pasture is overseen by the Mammalians Nurturable Department, and the Mammalians are hostile at first and want them to leave, but after pressing them for information, they eventually reveal Miss Casey did her sessions in their husbandry tanks and promised not to hinder MDR's search. They also asked to see MDR's bellies and find that they are pouchless.
uh, oh my gosh. Well, we get to see more of the severed floor. This is so exciting. And
This
like,
was a
what a crazy, like, expansive space for them to
I
find.
I know. I love seeing the grass inside
Yeah.
this building that's so like cold and metal, and
Uh-huh.
it was really cool. Uh these
Shit just
mammalians
got
are
weird.
freaky though.
They're scared. They're a little scary, like the way that they appear. So she like rings that bell and summons them all into the room, and they like surround Mark and Helly, and they're very threatening looking.
Yeah, they're a little rough around the edges, and especially the guy with the scary goat
Mm-hmm.
costume thing. That
Black
thing was
Phillip.
freaky.
Yeah, I know. And they all have dirt on their faces, like they're getting their hands dirty.
I have a theory about this team because it seems like they intentionally made them look very rough, and some of them have like sores and things on their faces and stuff.
Mm.
I'm just wondering, how did Lumen get these people? Like, are these unhoused people that they've like gathered
Hmm.
together for this work?
I've
Because
seen that theory too. Yeah. It's
really,
interesting. Yeah. Hmm.
because now we're seeing these different types of people for the first time. We're seeing Miss Huang, who's a child, obviously can't agree to be severed.
Hmm.
And now these people who definitely look like they've been through something, besides some goats, maybe.
Yeah, they don't seem to fit in, but we really haven't seen that many other teams. So who knows what else is out there? Like maybe this is just the tip of the iceberg with how weird it gets. But yeah, they like
True.
they seem very detached from what we know of severed workers with MDR and O&D. So it's and their wardrobe is really cool. I don't know. I thought it was interesting. They look like it's like quasi workwear, but then with like milkmaid kind of vibes, and then also the black goat costume. Like it's very weird.
It's strange. I also loved just seeing the desk in the middle of the pasture and also the
Yeah.
vending machine in the corner.
Yeah, so they like have some of the same things that the other departments seem to have, but they just happen to be in a pasture.
Yeah, I also loved that the desk under the chair was like one of those rolly pad things. I got to be able to
Oh,
roll around.
did you think it was strange when so Mark is trying to plead with them to like help with their search for Miss Casey, and he says like, if one of your goats went missing, wouldn't you go look for it? And Gwendolyn Christie, we don't know, I don't think the character's name yet, but she like smirks at that. And I'm thinking like she knows something about the goats. Obviously, the goats have some purpose besides just being goats. But like, what does she know that would make her smirk like that?
I don't know. I didn't really notice that part.
It makes me think that maybe there's like some goat to human pipeline, you know?
Yeah. I think that's highly suspected.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
how?
I don't know.
How do you turn a goat into a human? I mean, they're definitely doing something with these goats that is not good.
Yeah. And Helly has a moment where she's like, she waves the flyer around and she's being like much more outspoken than I think you would expect Helena to be, which is an interesting moment. I feel like that's more evidence for it's Heliar and not Helena, but I don't know.
I feel like they're really jerking us back and forth here with that one.
They're jerking us. They're jerking us majorly.
But they do find out some information here, which is that the Mammalians have met Miss Casey, and she was doing some of their wellness work with them too. It doesn't sound like they have any more information about Miss Casey, though, so I don't know if it's going to be a dead end for them. Hard to say.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll see more of them. Maybe Gwendolyn Christie will find her way into MDR or OND or something. That would be cool.
That would be fun. I want to see some goats in the hallways.
Me too.
Let them free.
Let them work. Let them live.
Yeah.
So the pouches also, they ask to see their bellies and they're like, see, pouchless. And then that guy's like, proves nothing.
Yeah, at first I thought they were asking to see if they had belly buttons, like to see if they were cloned or produced or something, not naturally. But then when she says "see pouchless," I remembered season 1 where Bert lets the MDR team know that there's rumors that they have pouches. So it's more of this like trying to pit the teams against each other with these rumors and it's just like the paintings of the what are they called, uprisings.
Yeah, I think it's just a funny little callback to that. People are looking too far into it, saying like, but we didn't see Helly's belly button because her skirt's too high, like, but we saw marks, so maybe that means she's a clone. It's like, guys, I think it was just a funny haha moment.
Exactly. If they were needing to see the belly buttons, then they would have been like, hey, wait, where's your belly button? They were looking for pouches.
Yes, naturally.
And when he says proves nothing, it means they could still be hostile. They could still be, our enemies.
True. Very true. Well, while they are doing that, Irving brings one of the missing posters to O&D, where he runs into Felicia. I love Felicia.
Aww, me too.
They are reminiscing a little bit about Bert, and then he shows her his drawings of Bert, and within that sketchbook, she sees his sketch of the elevator hallway. And she tells Irving that his sketch resembles the exports hall where past O&D employees would take the products they made. Irving gets some answers here.
Okay, this is the first person who actually knows what this hallway is. So Irving's really just been like reproducing this thing. He has no idea what it even is. And I think we've been calling it the testing floor, like the elevator to the testing floor. But now we have a new term for it, the exports hall. Where do we think they're sending this stuff? Out the exports hall. Exports would imply it's leaving.
Yeah, but I think people assume, maybe based on the like the upside down triangle, that it's going down. So why would it be going down if they're exporting it out? I don't know. you can't ever believe any of the things that people say around here, but
around these parts.
around these parts, you just never know what
You
someone's.
can't believe a goddamn word around these parts. People be saying, hollering.
But
What
yeah.
if they have a whole civilization somewhere and they're like
Oh my gosh.
creating, this is like the internal like Amazon, and they're like creating these products and like sending them.
I think that's a real possibility. I mean, we still haven't seen what Petey kind of drew out on his map, like the living quarters that he believes are down there. So
Yeah.
I think it's very possible.
I think we're in for some wild shit. Like, we thought the goat pasture was wild. Just wait. Hold on to your britches there.
No, partner, you're not prepared for what you're about to see.
Partner.
Partner. But yeah, I mean, I'm so happy to see Irving like have a true friend. Like when they hugged each other,
I know. This
it was
was
so
such a
sweet.
sweet moment. And if you remember in the beginning when we first like meet Felicia, she seems really kind of like cold and like doesn't want to let the MDR team in. But seeing them have this like heart to heart moment is so sweet. And they're talking about
Mhm.
Bert, and they're just, Irving gets a little time to enjoy himself as an
Mhm.
innie.
Yeah. But we also find out that Felicia doesn't know anything basically about Miss Casey. So that's kind of that ends there, but there's still a thread to
Yeah.
follow with the exports hall.
Yes. So next, Miss Huang is taking Dylan through the hallways and heads through the security room, which has now been converted to the Audi family visitation suite. Oh my God. So she tells him he's earned 18 minutes with his Audi's wife, Gretchen. And lo and behold, Gretchen is actually there. I
I
couldn't
know.
believe this shit. So they hang out for a little while. Gretchen tells him his Audi has 3 kids. She shows him a picture. She tells him that he's had trouble keeping other jobs. And they also have a very sweet moment together. She tells him she loves him. She gives him a hug. And it's a very real and raw moment, it seems.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I loved a couple of the things Gretchen said here. It seemed like she was confiding in another version of Dylan. Like when she tells him that he's had trouble keeping other jobs and he throws out the best lines of the episode. He dumb? He a dick? And she's like, "No, no." And she says, "There's nothing wrong with him." Like she genuinely means it. And she also says, when she's getting ready to leave, he's like, "I'm going to make you proud," which is also very cute. Um, and she says, "I'm always proud of you." And it was
Mm-hmm.
so sweet. I feel like then we see Audi Dylan at home, and Gretchen's leaving for work later that night. And like, there doesn't seem to be that same, at least in this moment, like that same honesty between them. So it's very cool to see, and also kind of dividing to see her be this honest with the any version of him.
Yeah, this is a really interesting scene. It's like Gretchen gets a chance to talk to her husband with like all of the stuff that's built up over him peeled off. So like
Mm-hmm.
all of the shame from like not being able to keep jobs, and all of the stuff, the life stuff that just happens when you're married and you have kids, and all that stuff that builds up and makes it hard to communicate and connect. And you can
Mm-hmm.
tell that it's meaningful to her too. And she kind of brushes it off when she talks to Audi Dylan. But
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of talk going around on Reddit and elsewhere, and I think we talked about it too, that it seems like there's a possibility here for Gretchen to kind of fall back in love with Dylan, the any version
Totally.
of Dylan.
Totally. And will she even want Audi Dylan and all of the baggage that he has. It feels though like she's super loyal to him, even though he is, a fuck up, as Annie puts it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think she's going to be really conflicted.
Yeah, well, I mean, what she's telling Annie Dillon is how she really feels about Audie Dillon, but
Yes.
in everyday life, you don't get to have these conversations often. So she obviously loves him very much and sees the good in him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering if reintegration is in his future and we get to see these two worlds collide for her, too.
Yeah, super possible. Yeah, they don't. We get some clues that like Gretchen and Dylan also just don't have a whole lot of quality time together. Like she is going off to work night. She looks like she's maybe a security guard or something.
Yeah, so he's working during the day at Lumen,
right.
and then he gets home and she leaves to go to work.
Yeah, they're just ships passing in the night.
Yeah. So I think this like Audi visitation time is really going to become special for her.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to see how it plays out and how it influences what's going to happen with Dylan's character.
Yeah. All right. So then we see a scene where Devin is coming home and she finds Rickon meeting with Natalie, of all people, and they're discussing adapting his book, The UUR, for innies. Devin heads out to Mark's house where they're working together on a project to attempt to burn an afterimage into his retina. The question, who is alive? So they're trying to get to the bottom of what his innie meant when he said she's alive.
Yeah.
What did you think of this?
Title of the episode. Oh man, when I saw Natalie and Rickon talking, I was like, oh fuck. Like, of course they are. But I just thought back to when they're talking through this, I thought back to that fake news article that Milchick shows Mark in the first episode. And one of the articles is basically Rickon Hale writes a book based on Kier's principles or something like that. And it seems like that's what they're trying to basically make happen by like altering the UUR into a Kier friendly version.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really interesting.
Yeah, I hate to break it to you, but I think your hero moment theory for Rickon is not gonna happen.
Come on.
He is getting wined, dined, and 69'd by Lumen, specifically Natalie. Like, I think he's gonna be totally like wrapped around their finger because he wants like the success of his book. He's so flattered by what she's saying to him.
I know, he's so susceptible to praise and just being like completely bamboozled. Yeah, it's looking bad for my Rickon hero theory. I think it might turn into a Rickon villain theory.
It could. And if I were Devin and I saw that my husband had let a Lumen employee into our house and like was talking about working with them in some way after everything that happened, I would be pissed.
Hell no. Another reason why we cannot see Devin and Rickon together. Devin is way too cool.
I know. She's like the realest one in the show.
She really is.
My favorite character.
One thing I will say, though, is I was expecting Devin and Mark to come together and just be ready to like fight the world. But the plan they come up with is shining a light into Mark's eyes and hoping it stays until he goes down the elevator. I'm just like, I was a little disappointed in their plan here, but
I'm also like, Mark, why did you need help with this? You can't use scissors? Like, what?
He's cutting felt and gluing it with like a glue stick.
No, but it's cute that they did it together. Yeah, I feel like Mark is he's needing every little piece of evidence to believe that his wife could be alive. So even though we thought at the end of the last episode that confrontation with Cobell was maybe enough to push him over the edge to believe that she's alive, he still is like needing confirmation.
I know. And I get it. That's a
Totally,
huge
yeah.
thing to believe, and the implications are huge. So, but I was frustrated with the the viewfinder thing. Oh man, speaking of Miss Cobell, this lady is on the road this episode. So we see her heading away from the town of Kier, and she comes to stop at a sign that's showing she's 238 miles from someplace called Salt's Neck. So she's sitting there, she's reflecting, and there seems to be some sort of change in her, and she decides to turn the car around and drive back towards Kier. And then later in the episode, we see her sitting in the parking lot waiting for Helena to come out. And they have a conversation where Cobell says she will rejoin Lumen on the condition that she's rehired as floor manager to help Mark finish the Cold Harbor file. She basically says, I want to finish what I started. Helena isn't having it. She suggests they reset, and she invites her to an impromptu meeting with the board. So Cobell's walking up. She's about to walk in with Helena, but she gets spooked for some reason and drives off.
There's a lot of theories around this scene.
I know.
So whatever her purpose is for being at Lumen, it's clear that it is strong enough that she's going back into the lion's den. Like she looks down at in the passenger seat when she's in her car, she looks down at the breathing tube that we saw on her like shrine in season 1. People think that it's her mom based on like the date that was on the like hospital band in season 1 that we see like a flash of. But whoever it is to her, she feels like it's worth her turning around. And then this interaction between her and Helena, she's making demands as if she has the power in the situation. But I think Helena's just like making her believe that she maybe has more power than she does. I don't know. What did you think?
Yeah, I don't think they need Cobell. I think Cobell just has, like you said, she has a really strong why, which is this person that she lost, who we've talked about. We think maybe it's like the promise of seeing this person again. I don't think they need her. It's not seeming like they do. The interesting part of this scene is when she's apparently walking up to go talk to the board. The security guy in the background comes into focus, and it seems like that's the point where Cobell gets spooked and like turns around and runs away. So there's a lot of talk about, the security guard is someone she recognized, and maybe he was an innie. I don't know.
There's a lot of theories, and I think this is another one of those moments with the pouches thing where everyone's reading too far into it. Frankly.
I think so too. I think she realized that Helena's probably not telling the truth, and I'm not about to go talk to the board right now.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think it's like, it's driven along in the episode by like the music is getting more intense as she follows Helena closer to the building. And I think they focus in on the security guard, I think, as a way to show like the intimidation of Helena and this guy like standing next to each other, looking back at her, like waiting for her to follow. I think that's all there is. But people are like, it looks like the wax figure of Baird Egan. Like, is he Baird Egan, or is he like her husband? Because she mentioned seeing her husband in season 1 when she was talking to Devin about something. I just think people are throwing stuff at the wall on that one.
Yeah, I don't think it's that deep either. I think she literally just got spooked because, I mean, is she really going to talk to the board? The board is so mythical at this point. I have a theory that the board is just maybe even old CEOs that have been, their personalities have been put into like a computer or something. Like, I don't even think there are real people necessarily who are the board.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So apparently she sensed enough danger to maybe not return to Lumen at all, or at least not in an official capacity. Maybe she will find her way in some other way.
Yeah, and I wonder at what point she's going to finally turn on them. Like, she keeps trying to come in and play by their rules, and I think
Mm-hmm.
she's realizing that she's going to have to do it another way.
Yeah.
Maybe Ragabi.
Maybe. It's quite possible. Well, speaking of, in the final scenes of the episode, hold on to your britches, partner, because this is crazy. So, Mark is testing the after image in his car. He drives off to some secluded location to test. And while he's doing that, Ragabi interrupts him. She's standing in front of his car and she tells him his strategy won't work and that reintegration is the only way to send messages in and out of Lumen. And then after Ragabi confirms his wife is alive, Mark agrees to the reintegration procedure. So they cut to Mark's basement. They are conducting the process right then and there. And we see as Mark's going through the reintegration procedure, he's flashing between the present and the orientation room on the severed floor. Ooh, I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about this again.
I was not expecting to see reintegration, Mark's reintegration in this episode. For throwing it in episode 3.
Me either. I was totally shocked.
And then also, they're in the car talking and he's like, yeah, I want to do it. I want to do it. And then bam, they're doing it right there.
I know. I know. This was also
She's like,
such...
say less. I got my shit right here.
She was ready. She had it packed up and ready to go. Yeah. I mean, it's so heartbreaking. This is like the straw that broke the camel's back for Mark. Like seeing him get confirmation from somebody who's been in Lumen that his wife is alive, and then just the grief and like devastation in that moment. His face in the car when he's looking at her and realizes that, like, oh my gosh, it's true. Ugh, it was so sad.
Yeah. And then he has to leave the car. He's like retching.
Mm-hmm. Also, can I say, when they were planning to burn the after image into his retinas, I was like, ooh, interesting idea. I can't wait to see where this goes. And then Ragabi's like, idiot, that won't work. You're dumb. And I was like, okay, well, I guess that's going nowhere.
I know, that really brought us nowhere. Also, why did he have to drive away to test it? He could have been testing it in his basement.
I don't know. I don't know why.
That was weird to me, but
Oh, I know why. I'm sure he was testing because he needs it to be, he should have tested during the day, but like he would be doing it in his car in the parking lot before he walked in. So he needed to make sure like the blanket worked and stuff. It like provided enough contrast. I don't know.
Huh. Yeah, I guess.
But why he needed to drive away from his house, I don't know.
Well, he is in Lumen housing, so.
Yeah, that's true.
Wow. So Mark reintegrated. Like, what are we gonna see? What's it gonna be like when he goes back down? He's not gonna even know any. Like, oh, he is gonna know these people.
I know.
How is he gonna piece this together?
This is what I'm so interested to see how they convey it, like with like through the show, like the actual videographers, like how they like make it make sense that we now need to think of these two people as one.
Right.
I'm interested to see how they do that. But I'm like, at the end of this episode, I broke down crying. I already told you this. But I was sobbing because I'm so scared for Mark. Like, like we saw what happened with Petey, even though Ragabi's like, I've gotten better at it. I'm like, That's not instilling
Hey, give
confidence.
Ragabi a break. Ragabi's only trying to help.
I have a thought around that too. I don't think she's doing it out of the goodness of her heart. I don't.
Alicia, what do you think?
Okay. It just feels like the way that she approaches, she like finds Mark, she hunts him down. She's not waiting for him to come to her. She has obviously been following him, it seems like.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
she also confirms for him that his wife is alive. And in that moment when he's so devastated, that's when she decides to like do the reintegration on him just because he says it right then and there. It seems like predatory the way that she's doing it. And I think that she has her own agenda for reintegrating severed people. I think she like wants some information from inside, or she is, I don't know what she's trying to do, but it just does not seem like it's totally altruistic.
Yeah, that makes sense. And it does seem like she's on a timeline of some sort to be rushing it this much and to be
Right.
this desperate. Why would she be desperate if she was just casually trying to help? I don't know. There's definitely something she needs out of this. You're right.
Totally. Yeah. What? Is she going to bill him for her services? I don't think so. I think yeah. I mean, there's got to be something.
Oh, baby. Episode 4 is going to be wild.
It sure will. It sure will.
Okay, so the next episode's called Woe's Hollow. And the little blurb about it is the team participates in a group activity.
I wonder.
The group activity could be going to the exports hall.
Oh, yeah.
It could be pineapple bobbing. It could be mirror room.
Yeah. It could be lots of things.
Oh.
I wonder if pineapple bobbing, they haven't really been working. Like they've just been wandering around. So
yeah.
it's technically a reward, right?
Yeah, I don't know if they're going to get a reward, but we did also theorize that maybe they're really punishments and not rewards. So
yes. They don't seem very fun.
I could see them getting punished for handing out flyers of Miss Casey.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. Yeah.
They've done zero work this episode.
Yeah, but I think I'm curious to see if Mark will tell anyone at MDR that he's reintegrated when he goes back in, or if he's going to kind of keep that to himself. And then just like, I'm going to be stressed with Mark going down there. Like, what is going to happen?
I know. I don't think he's going to tell anyone. I don't think he can.
Yeah, it's too dangerous.
Yeah. Helly is the one I'm worried about, him telling Helly/Helena.
I think if there's anybody he would tell, it would probably be her.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, should we get into some of the new Reddit theories that we're hearing?
Sure. Lay them on me.
I'm going to lay it on you, partner. All right. So theory number 1. Was Irv once unsevered? Miracle J says on Reddit, the portrait of Kier hanging in the office looks a lot like John Turturro, the actor who plays Irv. When Natalie gives Milchick portraits of Kier that look like him, she's also giving him new information. Hey, this is a thing. I got these portraits too. I wonder if Milchick's obvious shock comes from putting 2 and 2 together about the Kier portrait that looks like Irv. Was Irv once an unsevered employee in a leadership role? ? This was an interesting one, not something that I picked up personally, but there is also the fact that Irving's Audi has a lot of information that no other Audis have. He has a list of unsevered people. He's been finding them on a map. He's been collecting information about Lumen on the outside. So I don't think it's unheard of that Irving was once an unsevered employee.
Yeah. We were talking about like all of the stuff that Irving has collected the other day when we were together. And I had to go back to like the season 1 episode where he's going through his trunk because I forgot like all of the stuff that he has in there. He's
Yeah,
got
it
news
happens really
articles.
fast.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause his innie is just kind of like looking through, trying to find some way to communicate to somebody close to him all of the stuff that they want to confess during the OTC. But I just don't know if they're, like we've said with other theories before, like if this is the case, they're not letting us in on that fact.
Yeah, I think some of these theories, they're like the show writers and creators are not dumb. They know that we need information to understand what's going on. So
Yeah.
some of these things are so hidden and so hard to tease out that I think they're just very far-fetched.
Mm-hmm.
I think this one's a little far-fetched, but it is interesting to think about Irv potentially living a different life as an unsevered employee in the past, because we know he's been there
Mm-hmm.
the longest, I think like 7 years. So
Yeah.
his history, at least, I think, is up in the air. We don't know.
Yeah. Could be true.
Mm.
Well, there's another theory that innies could take over their outies' lives completely, be full-time innies, but living both in and outside. So Grumfield on Reddit says, I think that Lumen offers the ability to exist permanently, both inside and outside of the company, as the most coveted reward, and that Milchek and Cobell are examples of this, and that they're going to be offering it as a reward for Dylan, which makes sense based on what we saw this episode. I think there's a possibility that his, at least his innie, is getting closer to his outside life, and that his wife might be interested in that.
Yeah. What if, this is a crazy one, what if Milchik turns on Lumen, Dylan becomes the new Milchik?
Wow. You're blowing my
Holy
mind, partner.
shit, partner. That's a wild one.
Yeah, but a lot of people are speculating that Dylan's innie is going to be giving some kind of choice at some point to maybe live full time and just take over his outie's life.
Yeah, we have to think about what's in it for Lumen. So right now they're trying to sort of groom Dylan to be this tool to help them, I think, at this point, finish this Cold Harbor file. So maybe use him as an informant or some way to like get everyone else in line, especially Mark. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what would be in it for Lumen to offer him that, unless that's the only way they can like lasso in Mark.
Yeah.
We'll see. The other outstanding theory that we've gotten tiny little hints on this episode, but not a lot, is Helena versus Helly. Who is on the severed floor? The jury's still out for me. Some are saying Helly would never have knocked on the door before entering. I think this is when they're entering the goat room.
Mm-hmm.
She also wouldn't have questioned going down the dirty goat tunnel. Her character's a little hesitant to crawl down the tunnel. I mean, there's poop in there. I think the biggest thing was the awkward moment that Mark and Helly share in the hallway, which we can read both ways, right? I mean, Mark is looking for his wife. Helly and Mark inside have had this sort of romance. So it's awkward either way. Even if it's Helly, it's going to be awkward. But there was this sort of awkwardness between like a maybe kiss happening, and just seeing like juxtaposing that with Helena watching the kiss over and over. It does make you think and wonder, is that Helena?
Oh, I'm so torn on this theory still. I just don't know. But I feel like they didn't give us any like solid clues this episode to make us question. Helly was just kind of like there doing stuff. Like there wasn't any big moment. I think the hallway was maybe the most telling if people want to read into that. But like, there wasn't anything major that stood out to me. So I don't know if they're going to bring that doubt back in the next episode or in future episodes. But I don't know. We'll see. I'm not sold either way.
Yeah, me either. And the only hint that we got that maybe one of the other characters suspected something is when Irving reacts to Helly saying we're with you when he's going to O&D. So yeah, they didn't give us much this episode. They could rekindle that suspicion in future episodes, but it could just die off altogether and we fall back on, it's been Helly the whole time.
I saw somebody say that it would be interesting if it is Helena, if there's a moment where Irving's heading down to the exports hall to go down the elevator and Helena finds him and does something, like alerts somebody, turns on him in that moment. But I think if it's Helena, there's going to be a betrayal moment, I think. If it's Helly, there will be a
reveal.
Like some kind of confusion moment, like the team suspects that it's Helena, but then it's revealed that it's actually Helly.
Yeah, and if it's Helly, she's eventually going to have to come clean about her true identity outside. Because the NE team still doesn't know that she's an Egan.
Mm-hmm. Well, now that Mark is reintegrated, maybe he will remember.
Oh, true.
Remember her enough to like find out who she is.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Pardon?
Well, the last thing I've got is that people are suspecting that Mark reintegrating could hinder his ability to finish Cold Harbor. So Pale Pink Piglet says, I was thinking that the reintegration could cause him to lose the ability to continue his work on Cold Harbor. Children tend to be more sensitive to vibes and feelings, and maybe wiping one's memories also creates the same effect on the innie, making them better suited for this job. And after Mark reintegrates and gets all his memories and experiences back, he will become less intuitive and unable to continue the job properly.
I could like happen. This call out, Pale Pink Piglet.
Yeah, I think it seems logical that like if there's some reason for them being severed and being able to do this work, that if they reintegrate or if they use an unsevered person, it would not be possible.
Yeah, and we've kind of speculated about this the past couple of episodes. Do they need to be severed at all? We don't know. I think this is a good point, though. I think now with reintegration, we're going to see Mark struggle a lot, both inside and outside, with coming to terms and figuring this life out. I agree. I don't think he's going to be very helpful with the Cold Harbor file. So again, it's going to be Lumen versus Mark, like what they're trying to get done is going to be the tension here. So that'll be really interesting to see. I mean, we didn't see him work at all this episode, so we'll see if he sits down at the desk in episode 4.
Right. Yeah. What is Miss Wong doing? I mean, she's obviously not enforcing work.
She's doing her little hoop water game.
She is just a child after all. That felt very much like, oh, she's a kid. She just wants to play a little game.
I love when Gretchen's visiting Dylan also, and she's like, okay, why is that a literal kid? Who is that kid? And then she comes in on the speaker, Miss Huang.
Yeah, I know, that was funny.
It was actually really cute. Oh, man. So we got some good theories going here. I think we've kind of taken a break from some of the bigger theories. I mean, we know they're fucking with goats. We know that Cold Harbor is related to Gemma. So there's bigger things at play. I don't think we got any real hints into those things this episode. But episode 4, baby, I think we're going to see some even crazier shit.
Definitely. I wanted to pull up a couple of funny things I saw on Reddit, not theories, but This one made me laugh. Low Attorney 1165 said, Helly will never feel the relief that is taking off a bra. And you know what? That is so real, my friend.
Poor Helly. Damn. Her bra looks uncomfortable too, I will say. That thing looks structured.
It's like 3D printed, made out of plastic.
O&D. I need a new bra.
There's also a really funny thing I saw. People are comparing Gretchen's outfit. So she's got like the purple turtleneck with the black dress over top, and then she's got like a side braid. And it is identical to Pam Beasley in The Office. There's an episode where she has an art show, and Michael's like the only one who shows up from the office. And it is the same exact outfit, same hairstyle, everything.
Okay, when I first read this, and we'll add these two couple of things to our Instagram so you guys can go see how similar this is too. When I first read this, I was like, oh, come on. But looking at the side-by-sides, it is like literally frame by frame the same. And we're huge Office fans, so to see this in here is hilarious. I don't know what the point would be. I think maybe just a funny
thing, yeah.
Just a funny. But please go to our Instagram. We're gonna post this. We can like add it to our highlights maybe or something, so you guys can go see it. But it literally, even the way they hug at the end, is exactly the same as the scene from The Office.
It is the same. And you know what? Gretchen and Pam kind of have similar energies.
I think they do too. I was going to say that. And I wonder if this actor has been compared to her, and maybe that's why they like did this funny thing. But yeah, we'll add links to this in our show notes, and also go follow us on Instagram at Listen After Watching. You can see some of the stuff we're talking about. We'll post it there in our stories and add it to our highlights. But speaking of our highlights, we have a lot we can cross off our bingo boards this week, I feel like. Oh my God, so much happened.
This was wild. Okay, let me pull up my bingo board. So baby goats was, I think, the first one that I could mark off. Yay.
I got that one too.
Okay. Also, Mark and Ragabi meet again. Got that one.
That's a good one. Yep.
Also, online, Milchick talks to the board.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. When I saw that happen, I was like, damn, Alicia got one.
And then finally, reintegration. I got 4.
I really thought that wasn't going to happen until like episode 7 or something.
I thought it would be maybe like the finale or something.
Yeah. I also got 4. I got baby goats, new Lumen department, mammalians, MDR and O&D reunite. We saw Irv and Felicia.
Yeah.
And then we meet Dylan's kids. As we get that scene. First of all, we see them in the picture where he's like, are we homesteaders or something?
Are we cattle ranchers or something
like that? Are we cattle ranchers? That was hilarious. But we meet them in real life when we see Dylan's Audi life.
Yeah.
So great bingo week for us, y'all. Damn.
I know.
I didn't get bingo yet.
I don't think I did either. No, I haven't yet.
If the innies dance, I got bingo, baby.
Oh my gosh, that's all you need
to happen. Yeah.
Dang. Well, this was a big bingo week and just a giant monster of an episode to talk about. So thanks for sticking with. We're so excited to see what happens in episode 4.
Yes, we were saying we could talk about some of these episodes probably for 3 hours. There's just so much packed into them. Thank y'all for listening, though, and coming along on this wild journey with us. We're having a lot of fun. And we're really excited also to start some new shows and some new movies and things and talk about those. We have The White Lotus Season 3 coming out February 16th, just in a couple weeks. So we are going to be having some episodes about that. We haven't figured out how that's going to work yet. We might even do some bonus episodes about the White Lotus, just because there's so much to talk about with Severance, and that's going to be running for a while. But we're excited about that. We might get some Cy Hill, who is our mom, features.
I'm excited
in
for
those
that.
episodes. Me too. She's hilarious.
Well, if you haven't already, please go find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you're listening, and rate the podcast, please, and rate it 5 stars or else. No, be honest.
Yeah,
but
if you don't like it, if you didn't like this podcast, we are Joe Rogan.
You can find us at the Joe Rogan Experience, and you can go rate that. Yeah.
If you did like it, listen after watching. 5 stars.
Period. So thanks again. We'll see you guys next time.
Thanks for listening, partner.
Bye, partner.
Bye now. Yeehaw.